All right, welcome back into Indiebnb. Today we are rejoined by the amazing Power Pop sensation out of Atlanta, Mr. Atticus Ronis. Thank you so much for
What's up?
coming.
What's up? Thank you so much, Grant. I'm always happy to talk to you. Happy to see you. It's been a while.
He's fresh off. He's fresh off a opening for Drake Bell, his childhood hero from Drake and Josh. So I mean,
Definitely somebody I grew up watching. That's for sure.
so
That's for
talk to us
sure.
about how was that show last night? Give us the deets. I mean,
Well, by the time this comes out, I guess it will have been like a week or something. But yeah, no, that was it was one of those moments where you really try and remember every bit of it. You know what I'm saying? Like what the smell was, what the vibe was, what everybody looked like, what they were wearing, and yeah, it was surreal. We were watching him play. I was like, I grew up watching this guy on TV. Um, and it was pretty unbelievable. We had a couple of conversations, very short but very nice. Um, I gave him one of my buddies printed off a meme with my album on it and him on it, and I gave it to him, and he kept it, so he has that now. I feel like that's gonna serve as like the best reminder for him to check out the album because it's got the cover on it and everything. But yeah, dude, he's very famous. You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah.
it's also like the world is different for celebrities, dude. They just move different, they act different. The world it's a shift. Because I've been around some awesome bands, and some cool people, but like somebody in the public eye like that, almost everybody in the world knows, like the world just moves differently around them, and it's like you're like thrown into the pace. It's a very interesting whirlwind. So for like 2 hours, I was in his world. It was very strange. It was very cool. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, like, yeah, he's like not like, hey, we're in like a cool like band in the Southeast famous. Like
No, this
he's
is
like,
like he's like if you don't know him, then you've been living under a rock. Like that's how famous he is.
yeah,
And so it was pretty insane and worked out really well for me because I mean, one thing about me, I try and have the confidence to go, all right, doesn't matter if all these people are here for me or nobody's here for me, like I'm gonna maybe convert them to be here for me next time. And I felt like I did that. I felt like I played well, and because that's the thing was like that opportunity is awesome, but if you don't rise up to the occasion and play well, um, it's just like anything, you'll get sent back to the bench. So I felt like it was a good opportunity to me to show, why I deserve a spot like that. And
yeah.
I feel like people reacted that way. And yeah, a lot of people have been listening to my songs and like following me after it. It was very much a big deal.
I
So
love that. I love that. I mean, I think like you're the perfect person to kind of open for somebody like that and like be able to get everybody
the
hyped up. I
energy,
mean,
yeah,
as somebody who's seen you and seen you in action, like I mean, it's
yeah.
on a
Because I guess the
summer.
last time I saw you was like summer last year when we
Yeah,
did that show, The Masquerade. Yeah, that was fun, man.
yeah, that was awesome. We had a blast, man. We were jamming before Perfect
Dude,
Day.
we
Got
were
after
going
it.
crazy.
Funny enough, Penelope Road, that band that was in, our
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Morristown.
bro, don't even get me started. It's unbelievable. I always tell people, I'm like, hey, you guys have seen this band? They're like, yeah, I've seen this band. I was like, yeah, they were the opening band at that bill.
Yeah,
So
they opened for
just,
me.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, and look where I am, fucking sitting here with you. I'm kidding.
Hey,
I'm joking. No, this is esteemed. This is royalty. I'm sitting on a throne as far as I'm concerned.
hey, we're always it's always an honor to have you. Well, I
Hey,
mean,
dude, definitely.
I want to talk new album. I want to talk, Ludwig Van is your latest single off of it. I just,
Yep.
in preparation for this, I gave you like 5 or 6 streams in a row. So
Oh,
like
fantastic. That's
hopefully
wonderful.
that
I'll
made
make
like 10 cents or something.
I was gonna say that's if that's being extra generous. It's maybe half a penny, but that's fine. Yeah, I
Hey,
won't
we'll
spend it
take
all in one place. I appreciate it.
All right, good, good. Well, I think some takeaways I had from it, like again, that's just a great lick you got at the beginning there. I
Yeah,
love that kind of just
yeah,
thing.
that
So
burn, burn, yeah.
take me into creating that one and like what it
Yeah,
what it was like to do that.
yeah, definitely. So that was So we had what's cool about this album is it kind of overlaps. Like we recorded. I would say I was recording. I would say some of the best times writing for me, just in terms of the fruitfulness and like the amount of like bangers that were written in a period was from the end of my band with my brother, the Corduroy Blue, obviously, probably from January 2023, yeah, February 2023 to like June of 2023, I wrote almost all of Square One and almost all of this album. Both albums were written in that like 4 to 5 month period. So that's one of my big monsoon periods. There's monsoon periods and there's drought periods for a lot of writers. Um, and that was certainly a monsoon for sure. And so like all these songs just were coming, and there's a band called Teenage Fan Club that I'm a big fan of. I can't give away all my secrets because then you're gonna go listen back and like, oh, he just ripped that off, but it's not as good as the original. But Teenage Fan Club, I was listening to the album called Bandwagon-esque, and there's just this like beauty meets ruggedness to the record, the whole thing that's just like really, really cool to me. Um, and so I would say Ludwig van is like a culmination sonically of like 3 or 4 of those songs kind of smushed together. And a lot of things, like a lot of times what I'll do as a songwriter is I'll hear a melody or a piece of a melody that I love, and then the original will take it somewhere. And I'll be like, I love pieces of that. How about I just take it and put it in a new vessel, or do something different with it? And so it's like I'll take a note from something that I like and then introduce it into a new melody or something like that. And so a lot of Ludwig van is taking pieces of things from different parts of that album that I like, to kind of smushing it together. And obviously I've been writing songs for a long time, so there's obviously like an Atticus twist to almost everything. So it's like almost like a camp or sort of a funness to it that I think I always bring. Um, but in terms of the lyrical content, like I think that every song is always about, a lot of songs are about love or heartbreak or something very serious, and I didn't feel like there was enough in my discography of like kind of inconsequential songs. Does that make sense? Not songs that don't mean anything, but like this song is very much about something, but it's about something innocent and fun. It's just about loving
Yeah.
classical music. Um, and I think people either go one or two ways. They're like, I don't care about the lyrics. I'm just going to sing, which I do sometimes. Or it's like the lyrics are everything in the song. I'm talking about something deep here, which Square One is a lot of. With like Power Pop, it's more of like, I am making sense and there's a point here, but it's not always the end of the world or like the beginning of the most beautiful relationship of my life. It's maybe about how much I like classical music. And I don't even listen, for the record, I do like it, but now it's funny that I have a song about it because I'm not like a diehard. But I had a weak obsession with Ludwig van, and now it's cemented forever. So
I love that. I love that. Well, I mean, I think like, having those songs that are, just, again, not the end of the world, not the, love of my life, but like those inconsequential songs sometimes, they become you know, the best ones, right? Like I can
yeah,
think of like
definitely.
Stacy's mom. Like I'm sure they were like,
100%.
dude, Stacy's mom's
You,
hot. We should write a song about her. Like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
like,
I think that's the truth. And I think what you're speaking to there is like, just writing about what you're feeling in the moment, not trying to impress anybody or not trying to like do something. You're just in it. And this is like what was happening. Like I remember humming that melody, like doo 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 doo. I just remember being Ludwig van. I knew that was going to happen for some reason. I don't know why. Um, but you can't fight that. You know what I'm saying? You just got to go with it. And so,
yeah, I
um,
love
and
that.
I also love that because like there's an innocence to it. Like it's almost like a childlike, like just found my new favorite artist sort of innocence to it in a way. Um, and like I love the line where I say, times sure have changed, not for the better, for worse. But it's like to me, a lot of music feels that way. Not all music, but there's a golden age of music that I really return to, which is like the 60s to the 90s. And I wish more of that was happening on a larger scale. But what are you going to do? That's why
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Hey, you gotta bring us back. You gotta bring us
I'm
into that
trying. I'm
moment.
trying.
You know?
Yeah.
Um, I think like, one of my questions that I wrote down was like, hey, why do what is it about Ludwig von Beethoven that
Yeah.
is the piece de resistance for you? Why is this
Yeah.
song
Well,
not called Amadeus Mozart, or
yeah,
something
or
like
like Sir Paul McCartney, right?
that?
I
Yeah.
know. Like I said, it's kind of funny because it makes me kind of have to like buckle down. It's like, oh yeah, I'm like this like highbrow. Like I really haven't been to like a symphony orchestra ever before. And I really don't listen to it all that much. But I remember being the Beatles like fanatic that I am. They would talk a lot about getting inspiration from like Bach and a lot of people like Mozart. And those two are name dropped a lot. And obviously I heard Beethoven a lot growing up, but like, um, it wasn't until I watched a couple of movies, in particular Clockwork Orange, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Um, Beethoven's Fifth, I think, is in it constantly, or ninth, one of the two. Honestly, I could just throw a number out there. Beethoven's
Yeah,
Fifth,
I'm
Sixth,
not gonna
Seventh,
bring
Eighth, Ninth.
it up.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. They're all good, I'm sure. But one of those two is in it like all the time, and I just remember thinking it really made the movie in a lot of ways. Um, So I remember going through and being like, I'm just gonna just listen to it all the time and see what it does to my brain. Because I'm always like listening to rock music. I was like, I'm just gonna give a week just listening to this guy and see what it does. And I felt like it put me in like a cinematic mood a lot of the time. Like I was just kind of like different types of music does different things to people. And when I was listening to that, I was really like in tune with my thoughts. I remember I wasn't really even thinking about the music that much. And so that's why for sure when I stopped, I just listened to it for a week straight, not even consciously, I just did it. And then when I was kind of done with that and I went back to that Teenage Fan Club album I was talking about, when it came time to write lyrics, like I said, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, so like, oh yeah, Ludwig van. I just spent like a week listening to him. Like that would be really funny to like, and like I said, not all the time am I going out of my way. I'm like, oh, I'm going to write this type of song. I'm going to write this type of song. Like that's not really what I do, but thinking about how this would stand out in my discography and thinking about how it's like a different approach to writing a song about something you love when it's not really about a person you're romantically involved in or like a personal friend you have. It's like this dude that's 300 million years older than I am.
Yeah.
And like, and I just kind of found out about it. I will say that piece is important. Like the fact that I wrote it about somebody that I haven't listened to for years, but it was about somebody that I just found. I
Mhm.
think that's sort of like newfound, like, oh, I just found like a treasure feeling. I think that's in that song because I had written it a week after, like listening to him religiously. And it was really the first time I dove in. I think that wonder, that childlike wonder is in that song. And I think that can only be made by, writing about something you just discovered. So
I
I
love
think
that.
that part's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, dude, hopefully we get you, we get you a couple more binges on some other things, and like we get a
Yeah, exactly. I'll
more where you
write
can
something
hear
about
that.
Tarantino, and then we got, yeah, exactly. We'll have something about John Lennon. There we go. I'll have like a Infinity Stones worth of random people that I've written about.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, man, like obviously you mentioned the album Power Pop. Like, take me through. What are the you got 3 singles out now. When's the release date? What are we what are we looking
Yeah.
at for that?
So hopefully by the time this comes out, the album will be close to being out because the album comes out April 4th. So I don't know when we're planning to put this out, but I'd like for it to be out around then.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, for everybody out here, the album's out now. Um, and, yeah, I'm somebody that like so I've been doing music since I was like 15, 16. And, when you're first starting out, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to play the garden and I'm going to play on Kimmel and I'm going to, do all these amazing things. And that's all awesome. And we should always have those dreams to do that. But every year I do it, my intentions and my goals get a little more streamlined. And now that I'm 24, like all I care about is making the best music I can and being able to pay my rent while I do it. Um, and whatever happens, happens, and I can't
Mhm.
control the rest. But I know I'm gonna work my friggin' ass off to do it, and whatever comes of it, comes of it. And because that's my new goal, it's like I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to get bored. I want to keep pushing. And so, like we talked about Square One last time, which is a very acoustic album, kind of a departure for me. Um, when I was making Square One, like I said, I was also writing these songs. I knew this was going to be and I don't mean to say like, cause I'm going to make great albums after this. I've already written a bunch of stuff after this, but like, this is the album that I think I can hang my hat on.
Yeah.
Um, I think it really is a love letter to the kind of music that I love. Um, and after this album, I think I'm really kind of zeroing in on different genres that I want to explore, like all within rock, but you know what I'm saying? Like maybe a darker record or maybe a like a lighter, softer record or something more specific. But with this album, it was like, this is the kind of music I grew up on. This is the kind of music that I love. This is the kind of music I go back to when I don't know what to listen to. Is power pop. It's Cheap Trick. It's Beatles. It's Kinks. It's Oasis. It's all this different stuff. And that's my heart song, really, truly. And so when we were making this album, I was just like, this is me sonically, 100%.
Yeah.
This album is who I am. It's serious, but it's funny. It's heavy, it's soft, it's sweet, it's lyrically interesting, it's lyrically irrelevant. Like it's so many different things that I feel like describe who I am. Um, and so I'm really proud of it. I think it's the best piece of music I have ever made and maybe probably will ever make, not to take anything away from being excited for what I do in the future, but I think this is the one personally.
Mhm.
Um, and I haven't really gotten to say that to anybody really, so that was really cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just think it's I think it's my masterpiece so far. So I'm very excited for it to be out.
I love that. I love that. I mean, you've sounds you've put in the work and you've already like, felt like, hey, like the love letter to the music I love. I love that quote. Like that's
Yeah.
perfect encapsulation of, just the few that you put out so far. But, I'm glad to hear that like you're pleased with what you've created, and like we're
And
excited to
yeah.
hear it,
And
April
what's
4th.
cool is like, yeah, definitely. What's cool is like everybody has disagreed on what the singles should be. So just know that the three that we picked, there could be, I think there's 12 songs on this record. There's literally four different pairs you could have done to make singles. Like every song on this to me is a single. And I don't think that about all the albums I make, but this album, I say that to build anticipation. Like every one of these songs could have been a single, maybe
Yeah,
except for one or two of the slower ones. Like really they all have that thing. Um, and also like for me, I'm almost a year sober and, getting to make this album just completely like, I don't do, just off of coffee and club soda was a very cool experience, and just getting to kind of dive right in and have no distractions and no numbings and just locking in. Cause I couldn't say the same thing for Square One. I think that's part of what makes that album kind of sad and depressing is I was not, you know what I'm saying? I was in a different headspace, and I was,
sure. Yeah,
doing a little more of that. And I think it actually kind of aids to the sound of that record. But I think with this one, this is very a clean kind of like victory lap for me. And I think being, sober while I did it kind of aided in that feeling. So it was cool.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting, kind of you where your headspace is and how you write. Like, totally can affect like, how the music sounds. And like, I mean, you talked about like it aided you, to be drinking a little bit during that first one, but then,
Oh,
this.
definitely. And I was also, and that was also still happening when I wrote these songs. And what's
Yeah,
funny is the next album. So basically, like the way I always describe it, like if you're trying to piece together my life sonically, like if you're just listening to the albums, you're a few years behind, if that makes sense. Like, like I write these songs a year or two before, they come out. And so like the next album is really some of like the darkest material, and that was really me right before I got sober. Was
yeah.
me being like, I'm like having a headache all the time. I'm overthinking everything. Like I got to get out of this. And so that's not this album, but the one after that, which I won't,
Do you think
spoil the
that
title
lag
of.
like is like a, for how healthy you are now, like you're currently, recording probably and writing those other songs, so you have that lag, and like so you kind of look back on that, point in time with a little bit more clarity. I was like, all right, like,
Dude, 100%, 100%. You're right. Like, especially not with Power Pop World Domination, but the album after that, because we've already got the songs ready for that. Like, I look at those songs as somebody who's like completely clean of mind. Like what? Like who hurt bro? Like that's what I look at when I see those songs. I was like, man, he was sad, and you don't realize it and there's some awesome, awesome, deep, dark stuff in there, that I can appreciate from a creative perspective. But I have, a lot of sympathy for the version of me, a year ago that was going through it. It was really about a year ago this time that I was writing all that stuff, and I was really in a different headspace for sure.
well, love that. Well, glad you're in the right headspace now, and you feel good
Yeah,
about,
man.
we're
They're all different versions of myself that I love and that I
yeah.
appreciate and that I'm glad happened. But and everybody's different. Like I think like there's a really funny Liam Gallagher quote where he was just like, "What's the point of having one Guinness? I'm gonna have fucking 100." And it was like that was where I was at. Like I'm not Guinness, but you know what I'm saying? Like some people just they're just down to have a good time and they don't know, then they're like, "Oh my God, I guess I'm gonna have a headache forever if I don't quit this." So, you know.
Yeah, believe me, there's been very rare moments where I've only had one Guinness. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's the point of that?
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Well, kind of switching gears here, like we've got, I think April 26th, I believe you've got, a show for,
Yep.
is
Big
this the
release
album
show.
release show? Is this just a date? Like, what's going on with
Yeah,
that?
yeah. This is going to be the album release show, and we've got some cool special guests coming. The Corduroy Blue may or may not reunite for a song. Um,
Ooh,
we've got, Caleb from Florence Cardigan maybe joining us because he was a producer as well, and they're also on the bill. We've got Frigga Five, who's fantastic. Um,
bring a
we've
motherfucking vibe, baby.
they're awesome. And then we've got Calico, who's, their homies, some of my best friends. So, in the scene for sure. And so it's going to be a great four-band bill. Like I said, maybe may or may not get a TCB song, little intro from Mr. Luke Ronas from the Corduroy Blue himself. A lot to look forward to for that show. And we're just going to play the whole album front to back. I think we might have a detour in the middle, a couple of singles of mine from before, but basically going to play the whole album all the way through. So,
I love
which is
that.
how it's meant to be played. So I'm excited.
I love that. I love playing. Again, I've gone to a few shows where they played things all the way through. And it's like you love that because when you take away and like when somebody walks away from the show, it's like, hey, you know where to go find that song because you know what order
Exactly.
it's in. And like
Exactly. That's
there,
true. That's a good point.
there's sometimes where you go to shows and you're like, man, that third one they played was fucking sick, but then I got to go Google
How
what
do I find it? Exactly.
where can I
True.
find it?
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's cool. I like
So
that. Yeah.
again, as much time as I've spent, obviously going to indie shows and like, there always is something to like, oh man, that was awesome. But it's like, yeah, that one's actually not released. That one's not,
Yeah, exactly.
you
Like,
can't
okay, what was the
find it
point of
anymore.
that then? Yeah,
So you
exactly.
should have appreciated it in the moment more whenever you heard it, right? Like it's
100%. 100%. So I'm
so
excited. Yeah, people get to hear it. And I think this album of all of them, like I said, this is kind of like the perfect album for me because I think it's produced enough that I think, like it's not super raw or stripped down, but I think albums in the future, I want to experiment maybe with more like strings or horns or something. And I know I'm not gonna be able to play that stuff live. Um, so this album really is gonna sound the way it sounds in the studio, or I hope it'll sound similar.
yeah,
So,
that's awesome. Well, I got a question for you on the, switching gears on, you've got this, the jacket I saw you wearing last year,
oh yeah,
what
that's
is
that.
there a story behind this? You have this red, white, and blue jacket. Like, is there a story behind that? Did you find that somewhere? Or like, because I think like you were wearing a full like sweatsuit last time, and that was like the top. And I'm like, all right, like I gotta ask him about this next time I
Yeah,
gotta get his ear.
yeah.
Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, that's cool. That was like that was the first time I unveiled it at a show was that time I wore it. And I'm a big thrifter. Like, first of all, I love fashion. So I love that aspect of like the medium of music is the visual part of it. And
Yeah.
I feel like you got to have a brand. And I think for better or worse, whether it's your vibe or not, I certainly have that. And, and so and I think like also it's funny, like it sells. Like even if people are like, I have a lot of people that are like, oh, I love your style, or somebody's like, that's a crazy jacket you're wearing. I wouldn't wear it, but I know who you are now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like people recognize that stuff. And so anyways, yeah, there are certain pieces I'll find at the thrift store, and I'm like, that's the new piece. Like that's to me, like I have pieces throughout my whole career, like mainly tops, because I mean I'll wear jeans, whatever, but like like kind of pieces that have represented my career in clothing, which is really
Yeah.
cool. Um, and for this one, I wanted to wear it in the album cover. That was the idea, was to wear it in the album cover. But the picture that we chose for the album cover was just too perfect, and it was
Yeah.
a replacement shirt I had on. But I love that you still think about that jacket as like the main, because that's what it is, and that's really the marker of Power Pop World Domination. I was kind of combining like the Britpop style of Oasis with like the '80s American windbreaker thing, and seeing what we could come up with.
Perfectly fits. Like it's
Yeah,
like unreal. And so, but what's funny, you say that like you're the first time I met you, like way back, and it was probably like 21 going into 22 when you guys played with
with
Jameson.
Tank, and yeah,
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 the
yeah,
Tank, dude. Corduroy Blue was like one of the couple final Corduroy Blue shows. Like you're wearing those platform shoes. Like it was
yes,
either you or
those
your
were,
brother wearing the platform shoes. I was like, I can't unsee that. Like not in a bad
yeah,
way. Just like that's something that's gonna be seared in my memory. Like, okay, this
oh
guy's
yeah,
wearing these platform shoes like 8 feet tall. Like he's on
yeah.
stilts. It was like
Dude,
unbelievable. Like,
it was crazy when I unveiled those, getting used to, I walked around in the house with them on because playing in those is not easy, like at all. And like moving around like I do in those is not easy. And like hitting pedals for your guitar in those, not easy. So like I did a lot of like rehearsing in the house, just like walking around, like pretending to kick. And even though like, yeah, the shoes too, I don't know if you've even like, I've been trying to make that a point. Like with TCB, it was the platform shoes and like the women's section of the thrift store. And then, like for Square One, it was all like very beige and sort of chill. And I had these like blue and white Nikes that I would wear, but that were kind of like old and worn down. Um, and then with this album, there's these like red, white, and blue Adidas like high
yeah.
tops that I wear. Um,
Oh yeah.
and with that jacket. And so it's well, like I said, when you go to the thrift store and you just see something, you just know it's going to be the new piece. So
I
um,
love it. I
I
love it.
just knew it.
That's the ticket. I mean, I like it's so there's so I love that you said like the visual part of this. It's it's important like the look and you can easily make a memory with somebody. I'm sure last night somebody is going to remember you for, did you wear the red jacket last night? Was there?
Last night I wore, it was funny you say that. The biggest conversation Drake and I had was I was coming out of my green room because him and I had separate green rooms. Coming out of my green room and I think I waved at him, but before I could even turn around, he was already coming towards me because I had on my like super bright, shiny New York Yankees like jacket on, but it has like the New York Yankee symbol in sparkles, basically on my back, like very Elton Johnish. And he came out to compliment me on it on purpose and be like, dude, I love that jacket. Where'd you get it? Whatever, whatever. So literally it was the point of conversation that we had. And,
Yeah.
I had a bunch of people come up to me afterwards. So it's like, it was kind of like a version of of the jacket, but it was just its own thing. Cause I like to mix it up, but
Yeah.
it's all the same ballpark.
I love it. I love it. Well, you've already been through, with us, gonna wrap it up here. We've already been through the Pete Peterson party pack questions, so I'm not gonna put you through that again. We've already, we've
Thank
gone through.
God.
Yeah. Hey, look, I don't need to know. I would love to do that and audit you and see if you have changed your answer.
Yeah, exactly. That would be
But
hilarious. That would
look,
be good.
I think I'd
It could be
rather.
like we could do like Atticus and Indiebnb is like Billie Eilish and Vogue, like it's the
Yeah,
same
1 year
interview
later.
every year apart. Yeah, exactly.
The thing I've been doing lately is one, I've been asking people, hey, like somebody you appreciate kind of in this journey, right? Like somebody you've been a really big influence, maybe never would be like on the stage or like something like that, or if they're like, usually when I have a bandmate, somebody, if they have a band, like I always say like, hey, like
Mm-hmm.
what's something you appreciate about your bandmates, and what do they
Mm.
bring to the table? They snack people on the road, like whatever. So
Yeah,
for you, like you're kind of a solo act, but you've got, I'm sure, a lot of influences and people you kind of can point
work
to
with.
in this. So like, who's somebody like really that is you've been has been a really a big influence in being able to you really.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take this time to like thank some people that made this album happen. Honestly, is number one's Caleb Heupel. He's from the Angelics and Florence Cardigan. He has really like once the Corduroy Blue was over, I kind of knew I needed a new partner in crime when it came to production. And him and I met at the last TCB show, and not only have we become like really, really good friends, but he has this way of, because I'm older now and I don't know that I need the mentorship I did when I was younger. Like there's a guy named Christopher Allen Yates who's he's like the godfather. And yes, Chris, that's me calling you old. Um, is like, he really was like, a mentor to me in my younger, like late teens, early 20s, and really taught me a lot about sound and about different stuff, about production, about, not adding too much, and not adding enough. And anyways, he was a really big mentor for the Corduroy Blue. And, um, going on from his mentorship to kind of doing my solo stuff, I think with my solo stuff, I'm taking what he taught me and kind of implementing that and kind of leading myself a little more. So that doesn't really mean I don't need like a sensei particularly, but I need a
Yeah,
partner in crime that's wanting to push me, but also, you know, know where to let me roam free too. And
sure.
Caleb has been that way. There's a good story I'll tell. Um, there's a song called I'm in Love on the album, and it's, for some reason this summer, I was having a hard time with my voice. It was very scary. Like I would try and sing and nothing would really happen. Like it's very surreal. Like it's never really happened to me. And everybody's different. Like my songwriting is probably primary, but my voice is very distinct, I think.
Oh yeah,
And it's a big part of what I do. And so if I can't sing, I'm fucked. And so I was having that moment of like, we were in the studio and I like, was just having a hard time getting anything to sound the way I wanted it to sound, or felt like I was having to really strain. And so we recorded all the instruments first, which I don't usually do. And we saved the vocals to last. And I remember it was the last weekend and I was like, I get myself in the headspace, like I'm going to have to go record vocals. And I'm not usually like that. I'm usually excited to do it.
yeah,
And I was really nervous. And we went in and we recorded the song I'm in Love because that was the most taxing one. I would just say emotionally. And I do a lot of runs and stuff in it. And there's falsetto at the end. It was a monster. And it's early in the morning. We get in there and it's just not working. Like I'm just having a hard time and I'm getting down on myself. And I come in like I'm not a prima donna at all. I'm always really chill. And I come in and I start crashing out. I was like, Caleb, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this. I can't do this. We just need to delay this album till I'm ready to sing. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I want to go home. He listens to me rant for over a couple minutes. He's like, are you done? Let me know when you're finished. Cause I have a lot to say. So I was like, no, I'm not done. So I keep going on. And then I was like, okay. I was like, now I'm done. And he was like, I hear you. You're going to take a sip of water. You're going to take a deep breath. You're going to get your ass back in there because I promise you're fine. And I took a sip of water. I took a deep breath and I went in there and basically that whole next 2 takes are what's on the album. And, it was just having a guy like that was in my corner that trusted me, that wasn't going to like succumb to what I wanted to do, but was still able to find the part of me that he could connect with and push me. And so that just kind of describes the guy he is. So that's a big thank you to Caleb. Thank you to Christopher, who mixed it and mastered it, so we still work together. My bandmates, Radley and Steven, I mean, aside from being some of my best friends, are two of the most talented musicians in the world, let alone, yeah, they're in the band Better Yet. And I think you might have seen them before.
I'm familiar. Radley's, Radley's all over the place now. But
Dude, yeah, he is. They're beasts, man. And, I'm beyond blessed to have them in my band. They rise to the occasion. They sing harmony. They make me look like the worst musician in my own project. So that's a good problem to have. So
sure.
Those guys and, my family obviously, but I mean, the list goes on and on, but Caleb in particular was a big, big reason that this turned out the way that it did.
I love that. That's I think that those are the types of people that can get the best out of you, and like those are who you need whenever you're definitely creating something, obviously, and
he did that. It was good because he did that with this one, because Square One, he really wanted to add a bunch of stuff and like make it a big album, and I knew what I wanted, and I was right to know what I wanted. I wanted it chill, I wanted it stripped down, so we didn't fight out obviously, but we would have a lot of debates, and he wanted to add. So I was like, all right, with this album, you can play now. Like, we're going to add stuff. We're going to have fun. And so I think he had a blast doing it.
I love that. Well, shout out Caleb, Radley, Steven, Christopher, of course, that's the appreciation list on this one. So
yes,
the final thing that we've been doing lately, I've been having people pull up the last thing they searched on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever. So like, I'll do it myself. I'll do it with you. Don't worry. Like, it's not going to hey, you're not going to out yourself too much.
All right. So do I check right now?
Oh yeah. Get in there and check.
All right. Let's see. All right. The last thing I searched is probably either my own music or Drake Bell. Oh my God. It's Talking Sopranos, the podcast, here's the reason that's embarrassing, is because my close friends know I already finished the podcast. So that means now everybody knows I'm double dipping into a podcast about The Sopranos. This is now my second re-listen because I'm just obsessed with the show. So if you haven't seen The Sopranos, that's honestly badass. I'm glad it was that and not something else crazy. But Talking Sopranos, the podcast.
Okay, Talking Sopranos. So I always, my recent searches generally have to do with this show. So I skip those because those are not as like, I've got some things coming up that may not be, not going to be released yet. The guy who released today, which, March 26th, Muted Circus, like I introduced him. Obviously did, you for research.
Yeah.
And then I got another one that's...
We'll call it, me for research. We'll just pretend, we'll say for research. Hey, but I have Ludwig as my life song saved, all right? Hey, you're I'm kidding.
But I've got, I'll give you my top three. Benny Blanco, I saw him on Hot Ones, and I was like, what the... This guy apparently has written...
Bro made every song ever.
And then Andrew WK, every now and then you got to get a little party hard. And Angie Stone I heard like a song, like her most famous song in some like coffee shop or something I was in the other day.
That's a Dream Blunt rotation right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a Dream Blunt rotation. I love that.
That's good stuff.
We'd have a weird conversation.
We'd have a good time with that. No doubt.
Oh,
no doubt.
But awesome. Atticus, appreciate you coming on, man. We'll obviously promote the crap out of this. We got the album April 4th. This may be out a little bit before that, but then hey, the anticipation is aging.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll listen to the three singles that are out already.
Yeah.
Linked in. You can click on his name right here, and that'll take you right to him. Again, April 26th, Smith Soul Bar, right? Is that correct?
That's right, April 26th. We got a fucking great show planned.
Yes, Smith Soul Bar, April 26th, album release show. Name of the album, Power Pop, and it's the Power Pop. What is it?
World Domination. That's cute. You wanted me to finish your sentence. We talked. That was my bad. Yeah.
Power Pop World Domination, out April 4th. Go check it out. Atticus Ronis, the man, the myth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you and the time.